Okay then. Probably want to turn this down a bit, maybe. Yeah, maybe about there. How are we all doing? Hello everyone, hello. Thank you for stopping by. Good, thanks. Let's change this. Volume's alright? Okay, good. Good. I turned the music down a little bit just in case you want to hear me better rather than the generic stream beats lo-fi, which I actually quite like. And of course, it's copyright free. Cool, how are we all doing? Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. It's been a long time since I've done one of these. I think I've done 3 or 4 in the past. They were alright. Some better than others. Hi Christoph, I saw your message earlier. Hi Federico. Thanks Heisenberg for all the questions before he even got going. A million of them. Appreciate it. I'll do my best to answer some of them. Who else? Amway, hello. Hello. Mason, nice to see you. Sounds good, thank you. I kind of just wanted to see how it went, really. I'm interested. I quite like the idea of doing some more live streams, but maybe I've just been sucked in by, the rockstar Twitch devs. We'll see. Neha, hello buddy. I'm good. How are you, man? I want to apologise in advance if I pronounce any of your names wrong. I don't mean it. It just happens sometimes. Hi Rick, good question. I'm gonna get to the questions in a minute. I'll see what I can do to sort of hopefully answer some. Do I know John Wick? The films? Yes. I've watched one of them. Maybe only one. Been learning for about 8 months. I think I know enough for a junior level. Okay. You probably do. It's very hard to get a first job in anything, especially something like coding, dev, just because anywhere that anyone can learn something by themselves and get good at it is always going to be more competitive at the bottom. You say your portfolio is ready. I think you should just start applying. You have to start applying because you'll need to go through all of the rejection and all the interview process. You might as well start now. If you don't get any responses at all, maybe that's a sign that you need to tweak your portfolio. How long have I been in Python? 4 years? 3 years? 4 years. And then a bit before that. And I did Pascal at college for a bit, which I hated. Suraj, hey, mate. Thanks. I'm glad you enjoyed the videos, man. I'm glad. Scraping e-commerce is a large part of what I do, which is why it comes across in my videos, just because I find it the most easy way to explain. in studying JavaScript for 2 years, a lot to learn. Hey, we've always got, you never stop learning, Leo, or never stop learning. The only thing that I can say is that I think it probably took me about a year before things all started to click. You just got to keep doing it more and more and more and more. Keep writing code. Eventually, like, one thing that before getting too far ahead, one thing that I find actually that I don't know if I certainly didn't do enough, I don't know if beginners do enough, is to push all your code to GitHub all the time. Because then you can go back and you can look at it and you can start to see progress. Because if you just code the same things over and over again, it's hard to see the incremental times you get better. Because it's such small increments. Because you don't just wake up one morning and go, oh yeah, I know all of this now. Great. Sorted. So yeah, you have to, that's why I always think pushing it up to GitHub, because you can then go back and you can say, oh, I did this like 2 months ago. And you look at it and you go, yeah, I can do better than that now. It's a bit of motivation. Assad landed a mid-level scraping job in a multinational company by watching my videos. Wow. I should charge commission for that, mate. Congratulations, though. Well done. Well done. Love to know more about your day job and what my job journey. I do lots of different things, lots of little things, all revolving around writing code, APIs, pulling data, getting data from here and there, putting it together for people. I hate PHP or Laravel. Can I use only pure Python to make sites? You can. Yes, you can. Unfortunately, if you want to make good modern looking websites, and I mean like fancy ones, you need JavaScript. And Python will absolutely do your back end for you. It can do the front end too, but you'll be a bit more limited. Only a bit. Depends what you want to build. The only sites that I build, really, I do more APIs. If I'm doing any front end, it's always just basic, very basic, like admin panels, HTML. And if I use JavaScript, I just lift whatever JS comes with it. I don't write JavaScript. I'm not overly interested in front end. What would you normally do after scraping data? This is actually going to be, this is a video topic that I'm thinking about doing, putting it together. Because generally, I'm putting the data together for someone. I don't always ask what they want it for, apart from, obviously, in my day job, it's analysis. It's always analysis. Seeing what things are doing the best, what things are available, all that sort of stuff. Christian, chime in and say, one big reason that makes your videos great. Social site, also understand what you're doing. I can almost even follow along. Well, I'm glad. I always worry about my teaching style sometimes, whether it's useful or not, but people seem to like it, so I don't change it. What's the best platform for using Python scrapers? Do you mean like a cloud platform, Lars? I tend to put all of mine on I just use droplets on DigitalOcean. Seems to work. You can what's your opinion on using Python? I don't think I've ever used it, so I don't really have one. I know of it. I don't know. I've always just stuck to Python. I earned some side cash by learning from your videos. Excellent. Again, I'm going to be sending out invoices for commission. Send it my way, please. I'm only joking. Best non-OOP language? Go? Rust? Go. I prefer Go to Rust. I'm not actually, I'm only learning Go still, although I really like it. Unfortunately, I don't have an awful lot of experience with any other languages. I just dived straight in when I wanted to learn into Python. Encourage more to find hidden mobile API using emulator. Okay. That's interesting, Hassan. I've not considered that actually. I'll make a note of that and I'll think about that. Mobile is something that mobile and mobile apps something that just never interested me. But that's cool. That's a nice tip. Thanks. I'll make note of that. See more videos on Scrapy Playwright? Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, I could do that. Cool. The thing I find about, you see, I like when I'm thinking about making videos and topics. First, I got to think. Let's be real here. YouTube. I got to think about what's going to bring views in, right? Because otherwise, well, you know, no views. But that aside, it's trying to make the content interesting and informative, educational, informative, without doing the same thing over and over again, which is quite hard. But I'll make a note of more Scrapy Playwright. That's two people saying it. That's cool. I'll do that. I can do that. Have you had some issues with request HTML? Seems like when using a render, doesn't. It's funny you should say that actually. I do use request HTML a lot. I don't tend to use render a lot. I don't like render. I don't like anything that involves headless Chrome for scraping. I know it's needed in some cases, totally is. I prefer not to. Although, to scale, a good way is to run a load of headless Chrome instances over many servers and pull the data that way. But for the general, I need this information and I need it now to do this, I don't like to do it. It's too much hassle. I prefer other ways. And yes, I tried to use render the other day actually and it didn't work, which was annoying because I had a whole idea about what I was going to do and I thought this will be perfect for that. I'll use the render on request HTML, which is a great package. Didn't work. I didn't bother looking into it any further. I just went a different way. Christoph, thanks for dropping by anyway, mate. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Getting detected and blocked. Yeah. That's pretty much part and parcel of the whole thing. So I haven't done a video on it specifically. There's a few hints in other videos. It's an interesting one. I tend to stay away from sites that have more heavier bot detection. Not, again, ethical. I don't know. I just find there's almost always somewhere else to get the information. You just have to know where to look. Almost always. Can't be avoided. I'm working through a video at the moment that looks at how easy it is to detect that someone is using headless Chrome. And I found a couple of good resources that go really into the detail, like a lot into the detail, which I'll share. Obviously credit them for that because they know so much more about it than I do, which is, again, something that comes with code and YouTube. There's always someone that knows more than you. But yeah, proxies, you have to. Scraping at scale is proxies, 100%. Or just different IPs. It doesn't have to be proxies. It could just be, multiple instances in the cloud somewhere. That works too. But then it's all cost. When it comes to detection and blocking it can turn into a bit of an arms race, but generally speaking, the steps that get put into place are putting a paywall, if you like, over it. It means you need more power, more software, more time spent creating the code, all that sort of stuff. So it just puts that sort of barrier up and up and up and up to deter people. The best people the best people don't get blocked though. But then, I don't know. Depends how far you want to go into it, to be honest. Any tips about freelancing? Yeah, it's hard. The easiest part about freelancing is always writing the code. I don't know. There's loads of tips about freelancing and stuff out there. I think I got lucky, to be honest, when I started doing it. And because I got lucky to start with, more people started approaching me, and then I could be a bit more picky about the jobs that I took. Processing text content. What do you mean? Oh, like actual. Yeah, that's yeah. I've done a bit of that before. Yeah, less interesting perhaps, or there's less of a obvious usage for it, which kind of puts some people off. Maybe more videos about the analysis part, notebooks and pandas. Okay, yeah, I did. I've done a couple of pandas videos. Do you know, I'm okay with pandas, but I'm not the best. I don't need to do the basic stuff, but I think people will find it interesting. I've got an idea of what I'm going to do for analyzing and matching product data from different places, so you can do like price checking and stuff, which is quite interesting. So yeah, that could be coming. Am I interested in automation from Ada? Yes. Not as much as I am in general web APIs and data, I suppose. But the first things I wrote when I got into Python, the first things I wrote were Selenium scripts to automate parts of my day job. I had there were specific tasks that needed to be accessed. There needed to be, data taken from here from the back-end system, all browser-based. Didn't have access to the API. Wrote some Selenium scripts to do it for me. They were awful. They kept breaking, but got there in the end. Do a video about web scraping and sending the information to distort. I appreciate that I'm probably a little bit behind all of the text and the questions, but I'm doing my best. I will get to them. I've been thinking about writing a Discord bot, actually. It looks fairly straightforward. There's some good Python packages. So yeah, that could be, I've got half an idea of a project, Leonard, that I'm working on. Hardest part, I've got to make sure it all works first, and then I've got to decide how best to share it. Best proxy provider? I don't know. I don't really want to start throwing names around. They're all as good and as bad as each other, in my experience. TripAdvisor. I did TripAdvisor a long time ago, but I think it's changed now. I haven't tried to do it recently, actually. It's not one of those ones that I've come across, nor have I been asked to do. Any new ideas for the channel? For me? For my channel? This is where I was going live. I was hoping you guys could just give me a load of ideas. That would be great. More videos. More live streams. Discord channel probably soon. I'm not that far away from 25k subs as well, by the way. I think that's amazing. Really appreciate that. I've been using undetected Chrome driver, never had a problem. Yeah. I think it's called... Selenium Stealth or Puppeteer Stealth, and it's taken across. I'm going to do a video on it when I get there in the end. What's your opinion about what to include in my portfolio? A good working example of I would say the three main methods. So a good HTML page scraper. A good one where you implement in pulling the data across multiple places and doing input with whatever, Selenium or any headless Chrome, and one way you use the API. Also, make sure you include something about cookies. And one thing that I found that's very important, I think people neglect a little bit, is be able to demonstrate you can do lots of options for outputting the data, because the clients aren't going to care about how you get it, but they are going to care about how you give it to them. So show that you can export to JSON, CSV, databases. I would recommend Postgres. To be honest, all my demos are SQLite, but it's not too difficult to do the same thing into Postgres. And you should be covered, I think, there. Setting up crawlers on Kubernetes and Docker. Oof. Yeah. It's not something I'm particularly good at. I'd like to be fully up and to speed with doing it before I make a video, but that's a cool idea. Christian, gotta go. Thanks for dropping by, mate. Appreciate that. Appreciate it. Hello, Raj. How are you doing? Let's have a quick drink. Have I ever written with Lurbis? No, I don't actually know what that is, I'm afraid. No, sorry, mate. Codetrix, what do you work as? I work for an e-commerce company in data, pretty much. I want to know how to enter data on a website and submit it. Depends what that is. Depends what the website is. If it's an HTML form, you should be able to intercept the request. But you'll need to be careful because you'll need to pick up the right headers, because they'll have the CSRF token that stop it. Yeah, essentially. You can if you can find where the data's being posted to from the form, you can send it directly with request post. But you'll need the headers, so you'll need to investigate it. It's a shame, really, because one of my more popular videos was an old one about logging in, and it only works in a very, very specific example, but it managed to get a bit of traction, and every now and again I have to tell people like it really only works basic auth, which doesn't really exist on the web anymore, which is a real shame. Let's see what have I missed. Oh, I was applying for a freelance job. Need something. He sent me a video of how I did it. That's funny. Codetrix, I don't actually know JavaScript all that well. I know Python, a bit of Go, and the tiniest amount of JavaScript, just because I know languages. Just because I know. Once you learn one, it's much easier to move over, because they all have functions, they all have some kind of data type, all that sort of stuff. So the for anyone that's learning to pull, that's learning to scrape data for whatever reason, I'll tell you the hardest thing that I found was scaling it. Scaling it is always the hardest thing. It's just because more requests, more chances of things happening that you don't expect. It just makes it so much more difficult. It's happened to me quite a few times where things have worked and they've worked for ages and then they don't, just because something changed. And that's the other thing, scaling it and then something changes which breaks everything. You kind of have to be quite adaptive because, as I said, things change. It's not like when you're working with software and you have access to the API and they have versioning and the proper endpoints. You kind of just flying by the seat of your pants a little bit. So it makes it a bit more difficult, a bit more challenging, which I quite like, to be honest. Although it's not so great when you do videos about it and then you make a video and then 2 months later something changes and then that doesn't work anymore. That's why I try to always emphasize that the videos are more about the process and the methods rather than the actual site. I don't really want to be that guy that just scrapes the that test site, the books test site, over and over again, because that's just boring. I'm really going to I need to put some more effort in, to be honest, and make my own test site, because it'd be a bit more interesting. Hi Nasa. Nice to see you again. I recognise your name from the comments a lot, so thank you. Appreciate all the comments. Is web scraping of Amazon officially dead? Yeah, all my Amazon ones stopped working. I haven't looked into it anymore, to be honest, because I've got access to the Amazon product API. So if I need any product information, I do that. To get access to that, you need to have an affiliate account and you need to have a couple of sales, I think, a couple of affiliate sales, and be verified. So if you really wanted Amazon information, you need to do that, and then you need to make a couple of affiliate sales. How you do that is up to you. How can I find the endpoints of a website? Front and back. Well, you need to, and it doesn't always show you right away. I found this actually when I was looking at one site. I was like, what is going on? I looked through the source. I could see that it was JavaScript. I could see that it was pulling the information from its backend, from its API. But I couldn't find it making any of the requests until I just clicked around the page and went to all different parts of it. And eventually I found it, and I was able to reverse engineer it from there. You can then sort of work out, as a lot of them use sort of standardized endpoint names. My video that I've just done, which I was going to release today, but I decided to live stream instead. So hopefully this counts. Has got a bit more API reverse engineering, which you might find interesting. Will you be reading the start of the comments? I was hoping you would have forgotten about all of those. Let me go back. Wait, okay. Okay, here's all of the questions that this young man was, I assume young man, excuse me if you're not, was nice enough to ask me at the very, very, very start, whilst I was preparing and trying to line up all of my thingies right and typing out my bit of data, because I had a bit of blank space and I didn't know what to do with it. Okay, where shall I start? Let's start with the easy ones, shall we? I can't see the rest of the chat whilst I'm doing this, by the way. Okay, libraries. Okay, languages. Favorite languages for web scraping? Python, 100%, no doubt. Python is amazing for web and data. More data, but web and data. That's why I use Python for web scraping. Go is really, really good for backend services and cloud, which is why I'm learning it. That's why I'm learning it. And I've forgotten the other one already, so I'll just go back up. Oh, favourite libraries and resources. Well, obviously my channel is the best resource out there, and I make the content for that already, so the best resources are the ones that you find on Google when you're trying to find out the answer to a specific question. That's all I do. That's all I do. Once you get to the point where you have a good understanding of how programming languages works. When you're right at the very, very beginning, it's much harder because you don't know what to Google, you don't know what to ask. But now when you get better at it, you do. So I just go, I need to do this. I can't remember how to do it. So let's Google it. Try and stay away from, and no offense to people that write Medium posts, trying to stay away from dodgy Medium posts, and make sure you vet your answers on Stack Overflow properly and try it. What's the worst that can happen? Everything can go downhill, get destroyed. The libraries that I use the most for web scraping are obviously requests. Obviously, because you need to make a request. And if I'm passing HTML, which I don't like to do, and when you watch my latest video, whenever I decide to release it, but you will be watching it, request HTML. Because it's all in one, and my preference is CSS selectors. Nothing against XPath. I just learned CSS selectors to start with. So that's what I use. And they are built in. Although you can use those with Beautiful Soup, but I much prefer not typing out Beautiful Soup because I keep mistyping it. So I use request HTML. And it's made by the same guy that makes requests. So if he can do that. And up until recently, it had render as well, but I need to figure out why that wasn't working on my last project. Outside of that, that's what I use for smaller. General, I need this bit of data, let's just take it, watch for whatever reason. Scrapey. You need to learn Scrapey, really. It's got everything built in already. So whenever you're writing your scraper and you go, oh yeah, I need to throttle my requests now a bit, Scrapey's got that built in already. You just change it in the settings. Everything you could ask for. But I don't always use it for smaller ones because I don't want to set it up all the time. I prefer, I guess, you need to use the what's the word I'm looking for? The right tool for the job. There we go. So bigger projects, I always use Scrapey, especially projects if I want them to stick around for longer, because believe it or not, a lot of the ones I write are just one and done, or they run a few times and they get the data and they're done. That's it. So that, try and stay away from headless Chrome, although you may need to use it. If I need to, I use Playwright now just because I prefer the API. Although Selenium is absolutely fine. They're all the same. They all do the same thing, in my opinion. Right, back to the top. There we go. Monitoring and logging. Yeah. Very important. Scrapey, built in. Logging. Monitoring as well. If you're writing your own outside of that, just use Python logging. And make sure that you log the right bits of information. Think about your exceptions when you're making HTTP requests. Think about the data that you're pulling and what you might be doing with it and where it might go wrong. You need to kind of testing, isn't it? You need to. So definitely do all of that. Very important. Go on then, the architecture ones. Look at this question here. Cool, bloody hell. Make it production ready. Okay. Scaling is the hardest thing, obviously. You've got a few options. Depending on how you need to scale. If you need to scale for sheer massive requests, you're going to need to split that up over several computers. over, I don't know, Amazon EC, is it EC2? Anyway, or just DigitalOcean droplets. You can control them all and get them to do certain parts of the task and then feed it back to you. That then becomes quite difficult to manage all of those things, so you need to have a good way of doing that. Yeah, it's not easy. Scaling is the hardest thing. I'm not that great at scaling. There are people out there that pull a lot of information, a lot of data all the time. They're better at it than I am. I've written a few that have pulled a lot of information very quickly, which is different. It's scaling, but in a different way. And it was quite stressful in a way. Just trying to make sure that they all did the right thing. It was good though. Right. A lot of videos regarding simple scraping. They are. It's a difficult thing, right? Yeah, it's alright, mate. Don't worry. I was only joking on all of the. You know what I mean. Yeah, it's all good. I'm here to answer some questions. That's what I like to do. It's good. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, they're always simple. That's because 2 reasons. One, because the simple ones are the ones that are easier to make. And the second one is you have a much wider audience with basic beginner content, regardless of what it's about. Much wider audience. I know what you mean though. It's a bit. I found that as well, and you're like, oh, this article could be one that's going to give me a bit more information, and then it's just the same thing, just the same regurgitated. It's boring. I understand that. Oh, sorry, I missed a few of these whilst I was dealing with all the ones that came through at the start. If I host a website with scrape prices from stores, will I use my scraping code every day and upload it to GitHub? Oh, okay, that's a cool question. What you want to do is you need to build your website, and you need to pull the data separately from your script. Separately, can be on the same machine. Put the data into your database, and then use the database to serve the front end of your website. And that's actually a lot easier than it sounds, but depends on your website, what you want it to look like, the data that you're trying to pull, etc., etc. So yeah, put it into a database and then use the website to pull that. I've done a video before where I made a fast API site that basically did it on request, which is kind of cool, but more of like a learning process. Make a video on bypassing Cloudflare. Oh, don't want to give away all my secrets. It's not easy, is the answer. Not easy. I'll see. O'Reilly has a Python web scraping book. I have never seen that before. I did not know that at all. Interesting. I'm sure it's outdated by now. That's the problem with the books. Everything gets out. That's the problem with all content. It just gets outdated so quickly. At least with the videos, you can kind of make a new one easily enough. Imagine writing a whole book out and then a new version comes out of whatever thing you're using, and your book is not redundant, but less so. Oh yeah, thanks Andre for answering the question. How do I scrape website? Yeah, see, I was talking about this earlier. It becomes a bit of an arms race, and it's basically all the protection is essentially a paywall, is how I describe it, because it's like a barrier to entry. You need to have bigger, better scripts, loads of proxies. You need to do all this sort of stuff. You need to maintain it just to get it. That's what they do. Working on a large node project. My files are getting so large. When you say files, you mean you're too many lines. You need to break it up. So think logically about what you would want to put where. So for most of my, I don't even call them big projects, medium projects, I guess. I have separate folders that have code that deals with those parts, that part of that data. So let's say it's just call it an API, and let's say there's products, and then there's sizes or variants to that product. I'll deal with those in separate places. So you just got to try and think about how you want to split it up, and then because obviously you could just import everything into another script to run it. It's better to run your scraping script on your local machine or cloud server. Depends what you're doing. Depends what it is. I run a lot from my local machine. The only ones I put on the only ones I put on cloud. Okay. So the one and dones I just run on my machine. The ones that go continuously I run on DigitalOcean, but Linode AWS, same thing. So it's I did start running a lot on my Raspberry Pi as well, actually. But then I don't know. The beauty about like Linode, DigitalOcean is that it's all maintained. Everything's just there for you. You can easily, nothing goes wrong. Whereas if you've got your Pi, I mean, it's pretty reliable, but it's just an extra thing to think about. So I tend to only run like my hobby projects on there, or if I'm just like I said, quite often it's just I need this piece of data now. I just go and grab it. Just run it off here. How can I become a good programmer? I don't know. I'm not a good programmer either. I can tell you how to write code that's passable. Keep going. Just write code. Just keep writing it. Don't stop. Keep going. If you think it sucks, doesn't matter. Does it do what you wanted it to do? And if it doesn't, try and figure out why, and then try and learn about why. And then live and breathe the matrix. Immerse yourself. Oh, hang on. Good live streamer always has his phone on silent. Until I make videos for a living, not streaming. Invest in a VPS if you're going to set up an API. Not a bad idea. They're cheap. Very cheap. I am just going to have to deal with this 1 second. There we go. Sorry about that. What did I get to? I run my Discord bots on Raspberry Pi. And my REST API. Yep. I want to build a Discord bot actually. So I've only had average ideas for Discord bots. And everyone's already done all the Discord bots you can think of ever. So yeah. Learning experience though. I even thought about writing it in Go. That would be interesting. I don't think I could face that. How to make a web scraper in C? Oh gosh. I wouldn't even know where to begin. Nicola, hello. Nicola, hello. I don't know C at all. I'm afraid I went dived straight into Python. And then I've picked up Go a little bit afterwards because I like it. It's everything that Python isn't and nothing that Python is, if that makes any sense. From my experience so far. And I didn't fancy Rust. Didn't I look at that. Do you plan to make a video related to scraping on social media? Either through official APIs? I've not really thought much about social media. It's a bit more of a grey area. A couple of things I generally don't touch. How should I describe this? Social media is one of them unless it's through the official API. So like through the Twitter API, that's absolutely fine. Through the Reddit API, go for it. I could do videos on those. It might be interesting. For those sorts of things though, I'd rather have an actual idea for what the data is going to, what I'm going to do with the data, rather than just going, oh, you just do this, this, and this, and then, oh, here's the information, now what? I don't know, whatever you like. I tend not to do it. There's always that classic, isn't there? There's the classic Instagram one. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. So I don't tend to touch those sorts of things. And the other thing I don't touch is gambling sites and betting sites, which are notoriously well protected as well. But I've been asked to do that a few times. And that's more, I mean, it is what it is. Personal thing rather than anything else. Lord Hawkins, topic for a video. Good, this is what I wanted. This is exactly what I wanted to see. Showing the process of getting a freelance project start to finish. Oh, and then completing the along with working and dealing with the client. I think that would be an extremely popular video. Extremely popular. There's only a few issues. Only a few. I wouldn't know how to document that. And I don't know how willing the client would be to have everything to have anything about what they want going on YouTube. I suppose I could do that thing that those documentaries used to do on TV and go, oh, we're hiding this person's, or changing some details. I suppose I could do that. I would like to show some more freelance stuff. It's just a bit more difficult. I have a Discord bot that calls an API that scrapes website from Raspberry Pi stock, sends the webhook back to my Discord server, so I can beat. That's a really cool idea. That's along the lines of what I was thinking about, but probably better than my idea. That's really cool. That's cool. I like that, Andre. Which programming language Google used to make their web scraper? I have no idea what language Google used. Although they did make Go. They probably used C or something old school like that, don't they? Or maybe they use. It'd be funny if they use like PHP or something. No, they never do that. How long have we been going for? What are we up to? 45 minutes? Nice. We'll go for a little bit longer. How to build a crawler for a web search engine. 5,000 to 10,000. Ooh. You mean Google first used Python, but there you go. I was right, kinda. When you say crawler for a web search engine, you mean, not sure exactly what you mean, but if you're trying to scrape 5,000, 10,000 websites, that's not too hard. If you want to crawl all of them, use Scrapey Crawl Spider, go through them all, pulls out bits of information. Any project as a reference, not something I've done a lot of. Most of the ones that I've done are very targeted information. Is it possible to scrape Instagram without blockage? Sort of blockage. Yes. Is making a complete web scraping course and projects that can help land jobs on your mind? Karan Sharma. Yes. Very much is. Very much is. I've been thinking about writing courses for a long time. More seriously over the last 6 months. The issue I have is the time it takes to do them. I suppose I'm still working full-time, freelancing and YouTube. But it's definitely something that I want to do. Definitely something I want to do. I'm thinking I would I don't know if I'd make it as wide as description as that to start with, because I mean I could do almost all of my YouTube videos have been about that sort of thing, so that's hundreds and hundreds of hours. But yes, and if I do make one, I'll make it as available as possible to everyone. Twitch uses a lot of their services based on Go. Yes, Go is very good for microservices, cloud stuff. One of the reasons why I'm learning it. It's very good for APIs as well. Video idea, here's another one. This is what I like. I'm making a note of all of these, by the way. Free content. Deploying a Scrapey project on a DigitalOcean droplet. Cool. There is actually this project called Gerapy, G-E-R-A-P-Y, which is essentially kind of like Django, but you can just dump your Scrapey projects in it. That's on my list. It has been on my list for a while. I just haven't got around to it yet. So that's going to come. In fact, if you could just go and figure it all out for me and then send me the code, that'd be great. More video ideas. Good. A bot that will allow you to purchase items in an online store, including a checkout. That's actually really, really easy. I've shown you how to almost do that before. The only problem is that sort of thing is quite frowned upon. No one likes that. You know, it is what it is. I wrote one of my, must be quite a while ago now. I wrote a test bot to do just that through Shopify stores. So I was able to run several instances of it, making test purchases. I would, personally, I don't like the idea so much of bots to buy stuff. I know people are always going to do it. I get it. People are always going to do it. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't. I'm just saying I don't really like the idea that much. What I do like the idea though is pulling out data and comparing it, contrasting it, looking for trends, being able to tell people to make more informed decisions based on it. You'd be surprised how many businesses do nothing with all the data that they can use. Any company that uses a modern system will have access to an API with loads of information that they just never use. It's interesting. Andre should look into introducing Django or Fast API. Oh, you want to make REST APIs? Something I've looked at a lot recently, actually, because I love Fast API, but I use Django REST framework mostly. And I'll tell you why. Because batteries included, everything's there. Although it's all done in a specific way, it's very opinionated. I quite like that. I've done a few in Fast API as well, and it's cool because you can be really specific about what you want and what you need. But when it comes to actually getting it done, Django REST framework for me. What about Scrapey Cloud? Do you use it? No, I don't actually. I don't. Video idea, here we go. How to go from beginner/intermediate to an advanced level web scraping engineer. I could do with watching that one, actually. I could. What topics one would we need to know? What would I consider more advanced? I use Fast API for all my projects. Like, cool, man. That's great. I really like Fast API. I really do. Especially with slow API, for the rate limiter. I really like it. I was really excited when I found it, whenever that was. Bought a course, did the project, started writing stuff with it. Really like it. Just generally speaking, if I need to get an API done, I'd rather not have to. I'd rather just have it all there, ready. That's why I use DRF, mostly. Intermediate to advanced web scraping. Well, that's going to be basically reverse engineering APIs and then scaling it, which is like what I said. Multiple different servers doing different things, managing it, writing good tests so that you can get ahead of any issues, monitoring everything, retrying and redoing things if requests fail, that sort of thing. How would you web scrape a site that has an Airtable base with all the data? That is a good question. I don't know. I've not done any Airtable stuff. I don't think I've even ever used it. Interesting. Do you work for a company? Yes, I do. Data and APIs, e-commerce, essentially. By the way, one of your videos helped me perform an interview task. Wow. That's really cool. I'm glad. What do you think about PyScript? Interesting. PyScript is interesting. I haven't actually used it yet. And having not used it, it's hard to comment properly. However, I don't think JavaScript's going anywhere. So it's going to have quite a niche usage, in my opinion. I'm definitely going to poke around and try and break it though. I know people who use Python scraping for automation stock trading. Yep, that's very popular. Very popular thing. I'm not really into stocks and trading though. Anything that means I could lose my money that quickly makes me a bit nervous. But yeah, that's very popular. There's a lot of people analyze the data as well using Python, obviously. I have a question. Cool. I'm building a project with Selenium using Chrome driver. This project load a VPN extension. Error blocked by client. Only happens if I put the script under. That's interesting. Don't think I've come across that before. Don't have an answer for that, I'm afraid. Not right now. It's an interesting problem though. It's quite specific, quite unique. It's hard when that happens. Is there a way to know API endpoints that might not be available in the site? You mean ones that you can't easily see? Yes. Yeah. So I'm not advocating the use or any hacking, but there is a tool that people use a lot for. I'm not going to use the word hacking. I'm going to say CTFs, and it's I actually can't remember what it's called. My favourite guy to watch for this is John Hammond, by the way. He's great. But you can sort of like it runs through a word list basically. Just runs through a word list and tells you whether they're there or not. Most people use standard words for their API, so it's not too hard to guess them. To keep trying. Oh, video ideas, good. Basic software engineering tips to make you a better developer. Yep, testing. There you go. Writing good tests. Test-driven development, all that stuff. All the stuff that you don't want to do and don't want to write and get in the way. That's what you need. And obviously the right software principles, which is probably something that I'm not that great at, but I do find interesting. What kind of music do you play on guitar? Love your content. Thank you very much. I don't really play guitar at all anymore. I play guitar kind of for, I guess, how old am I? Let's go 25 years and I suck. I'm into metal. Modern metal. There you go. Bet you didn't know that. What's the current coding framework you use the most? Well, if I'm for writing APIs, I use Django REST framework the most. For scraping scrapey, I guess. Hey, first time watching live. Thanks, Carlos. Love your content. Don't know how to apply it to my daily life. That's all right, mate. We all have that sort of problem. I guess don't worry about that. If you enjoy writing code and you find web scraping projects and you enjoy doing it, just do it. Doesn't matter. Be like a word list. Yes. There you go. Thank you, Carlos. Durbuster. That's the one. In the future, do you think web scraping will be difficult because of advanced captures? I think that it won't get more difficult. I think data is going to become much freer. Just because I think people will get fed up. Could be wrong. Do I have to user agent switching whilst using a premium proxy? No. Don't have to. No. Should be alright. Use whatever works. If you find that if you're using premium proxies, then you probably shouldn't have any issues. You might do. Depends. Video idea from Fabian. Connecting web scraper with GUI. That's an interesting one. That's interesting. I use terminal for everything, so not a bad idea. I've seen it done. It makes it, I've seen it done. Load up a nice little box, click a button. Oh, cool. Message retracted. I'm guessing you're posting a link or something. Can't do that. Anyway, it's been about an hour. It's gone by quickly. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Hopefully, I've answered some questions well enough that if I do this again, you might all come back. We'll see. I'm thinking once a week to start with, an hour a week maybe, a couple of hours, maybe twice a week. Then maybe I can... Because the other thing is I wasn't sure whether to do it on here or to try and get people to move to Twitch for a better streaming experience. And also, I might be able to, I can join in with all like the cool devs on Twitch, like live stream. But I just did it on here because I didn't want to stream to nobody. So I'm going to call it there. Thank you very much to everyone for coming by. I really appreciate it. I shall be back again next week, hopefully. And, all right, one last question. One last one. Is web scraping a good skill for freelancing? Yes, but you'll need to combine it. You'll need to have it as a feather in your arrow. No, what's the word? What's the terminology? You know what I mean. Thanks for coming by, Carlos. Alright guys, that is actually it this time. So I'm just going to hit the end stream button and I'm just going to disappear. But thank you very, very much. Really appreciate all of your chat, your comments, and all of your wonderful video ideas. Even if some of them would take me weeks of effort and work to do. Which I'm going to be honest right now. I think I might do the easy ones first. Thanks very much, guys. See you later.